Track 1. The Jungle Expedition. The Jungle Expedition was nothing short of an adventure. The thick trees towered above, blocking out most of the sunlight. As we trekked through the muddy path, the sound of wildlife surrounded us. We crossed streams, climbed over rocks, and battled the intense heat and humidity. Our guide, an experienced local, told us stories of the jungle's hidden secrets. After hours of walking, we arrived at a hidden waterfall, where we could finally cool off and take in the natural beauty. It was an unforgettable adventure that tested both our endurance and our spirit for exploration. Track 2. The Mountain Climb. Climbing the towering peak of the mountain was a test of courage. We began our journey at dawn, equipped with ice axes, crampons, and layers of clothing to protect us from the bitter cold. The higher we climbed, the more challenging the terrain became. The air grew thinner, and our breaths were short. However, the view from the summit made every hardship worth it. From the top, we could see the entire valley below, shrouded in mist. It was a moment of triumph and an adventure that would stay with me forever. Track 3. The Desert Trek. The Desert Trek was one of the most challenging adventures I've ever embarked on. The endless stretches of sand seemed to go on forever, and the heat was unbearable during the day. But as the sun set, the cool desert night brought a sense of calm. Our guide taught us how to find water in the most unlikely places and how to navigate using the stars. Despite the hardships, the beauty of the desert was mesmerizing. The sand dunes, painted by the orange light of the setting sun, were unlike anything I had ever seen before. Track 4. The Cave Exploration. Exploring the vast underground cave system was a surreal experience. As we descended into the darkness, the only light came from our headlamps. The walls were covered in ancient stalactites and stalagmites. We crawled through narrow passages and crossed underground rivers. The air was cool and damp, but the sense of discovery was exhilarating. In one of the chambers, we found the remains of ancient cave paintings, preserved for thousands of years. This adventure was a reminder of the world's hidden wonders, waiting to be discovered. Track 5. The Forest Adventure. A forest adventure is always full of surprises. Our group set off on a hiking trail, winding through towering trees and dense underbrush. Birds chirped overhead, and the sound of rustling leaves filled the air. Along the way, we discovered hidden lakes and encountered a variety of wildlife, including deer and rabbits. The highlight was when we stumbled upon a rare species of flower, blooming in the wild. It was an experience that connected us to nature in a way that nothing else could, offering moments of peace and awe. Track 6. The Ocean Dive. Diving into the deep blue ocean was like entering another world. The water was crystal clear, and vibrant coral reefs stretched out beneath us, teeming with colorful fish. We swam alongside turtles, and schools of fish darted in and out of the corals. As we descended deeper, we encountered a mysterious shipwreck, its structure covered in marine life. The calmness of the underwater world, with its quiet beauty, was both mesmerizing and humbling. This ocean dive was an unforgettable adventure, a true testament to the wonders hidden beneath the surface. Track 7. The Arctic Expedition. An Arctic expedition was something I had always dreamed of. The landscape was breathtaking, vast expanses of ice and snow stretching to the horizon. We navigated through frozen tundra and icy waters, encountering polar bears and seals along the way. The biting cold was a challenge, but the beauty of the landscape made it all worth it. The silence of the Arctic, interrupted only by the sound of cracking ice, was hauntingly peaceful. This journey through the frozen wilderness reminded me of the raw power and beauty of nature in its most untouched form. Track 8. The Rainforest Discovery. The rainforest was alive with sounds, the calls of exotic birds, the rustling of creatures in the trees, and the hum of insects. Our group set out early, guided by a local expert. We trekked through thick foliage, crossing streams and climbing hills. The air was thick with moisture, and the scent of the damp earth filled our nostrils. Along the way, we encountered vibrant wildlife, from colorful frogs to slithering snakes. The highlight of the adventure was discovering a hidden waterfall, cascading down into a crystal-clear pool. It was an experience I'll never forget. Track 9. The Safari Adventure. A safari adventure in Africa is a dream come true for any wildlife enthusiast. As we drove through the savannah, we saw lions lounging in the grass and elephants wandering by the waterholes. Our guide, an expert in wildlife, pointed out the different animal tracks and explained their behaviors. We even had a close encounter with a giraffe, which curiously walked up to our vehicle. The vast open plains, the animals in their natural habitat, and the stunning sunsets made this safari one of the most incredible adventures of my life. Track 10. The Volcano Trek. Trekking up an active volcano was an adrenaline-pumping experience. The trail was steep, and the ground beneath our feet felt warm from the heat of the lava flowing below. As we ascended, we could hear the rumble of the volcano, a constant reminder of the power of nature. Reaching the summit was both thrilling and humbling. From the top, we could see the bubbling lava in the crater, and the surrounding landscape stretched out for miles. It was a reminder of how alive the earth is, constantly shifting and evolving. Track 11. The River Rafting Challenge. Rafting down the river was an exhilarating adventure. The current was strong, and the rapids were fierce, but our guide expertly steered our raft through the twists and turns. We paddled hard, trying to keep the raft from capsizing as we raced toward the next set of rapids. At times, the water would splash over us, drenching us from head to toe, but the rush of adrenaline was unmatched. The river's journey took us through dense forests, wide canyons, and calm pools. It was an experience that tested our teamwork and courage. Track 12. The Skydiving Experience. Skydiving was the ultimate thrill. Standing at the edge of the plane, my heart raced as the wind howled around me. But once we jumped, everything felt surreal. The world below shrank as we plummeted through the sky. The free fall was both terrifying and exhilarating. As the parachute opened, I floated gently, enjoying the breathtaking views of the landscape beneath me. The feeling of flying was unlike anything I had ever experienced. Skydiving was a thrilling adventure that pushed my limits and left me with memories I would cherish forever. Track 13. The Haunted House Adventure. Our group decided to spend the night in a notorious haunted house. As we stepped through the creaky door, a sense of unease washed over us. The house was dark and cold, with cobwebs hanging from the ceiling and strange creaks echoing through the rooms. As we explored, we heard whispers and footsteps that seemed to follow us. The tension was palpable, and every shadow seemed to hold a secret. While we never encountered anything truly supernatural, the thrill of exploring a haunted house was an adventure in itself, leaving us with an eerie sense of excitement. Track 14. The River Kayak Journey. Kayaking down a remote river was the perfect way to connect with nature. The water was calm and clear, and the banks were lined with lush greenery. As we paddled, we passed small villages and saw wildlife along the river's edge. The journey took us through narrow passages, where we had to maneuver carefully to avoid rocks. The peace and quiet of the river allowed us to appreciate the beauty of the landscape and the tranquility of the moment. This kayaking trip was a peaceful yet adventurous escape from the hustle and bustle of daily life. Track 15. The High Altitude Trek. The high-altitude trek was physically demanding but incredibly rewarding. The air was thin, making every step feel like a challenge. We traversed rocky terrain and crossed high mountain passes. The cold was intense, and we had to be careful to avoid altitude sickness. However, the views from the top were worth every effort. Snow-capped peaks stretched across the horizon, and the vastness of the landscape left us speechless. The sense of accomplishment when we reached the summit was immense, and the adventure reminded me of the power of perseverance. Track 16. The Underwater Cave Dive. Diving into underwater caves was a true test of both skill and courage. We entered a dark, submerged world filled with mysterious rock formations. The water was chilly, and our headlamps illuminated the way forward, revealing glittering stalactites and narrow passages. We swam through tunnels, sometimes feeling as though we were in an alien world. The sense of isolation and discovery was exhilarating. This adventure opened my eyes to the wonders hidden beneath the Earth's surface, and it was an experience that made me appreciate the mysterious beauty of our planet. Track 17. The cliff diving experience. Cliff diving is an adventure that combines fear and excitement in equal measure. Standing at the edge of a towering cliff, I felt a rush of adrenaline. The water below looked deceptively far away, but the thrill of the dive was too strong to resist. As I plunged into the cool water, the force of the jump was both terrifying and liberating. The rush of free-falling, followed by the sensation of hitting the water, was an incredible feeling. Cliff diving pushed me to face my fears and experience the exhilarating freedom of the jump. Track 18. The desert safari. A desert safari was unlike any adventure I had ever experienced. We rode in a 4x4 vehicle, speeding across the golden sand dunes. The landscape was surreal, with vast stretches of desert that seemed endless. We stopped at a camel camp, where we had the chance to ride these majestic creatures. The sunset in the desert was breathtaking, casting long shadows across the sand. The adventure was both exciting and peaceful, offering a glimpse into life in one of the world's most unforgiving environments. It was a thrilling yet peaceful experience that stayed with me long after. Track 19. The Wilderness Survival Camp. Surviving in the wilderness for a weekend was a challenge like no other. With only basic tools, we had to build shelters, find food, and make fire. The skills I learned were invaluable, from recognizing edible plants to navigating by the stars. The days were spent learning survival tactics, while the nights were filled with the sounds of the forest. The sense of achievement after making it through the weekend was immense. This adventure taught me not only how to survive, but also how to appreciate the simplicity of nature and the raw beauty of the wild. Track 20. The hot air balloon ride. Riding in a hot air balloon was an adventure that offered a whole new perspective on the world. As the balloon lifted off the ground, we soared above the landscape, watching as the world below shrank. The calmness of floating through the sky was a peaceful escape, and the view of the sunrise was absolutely stunning. From above, we could see fields, forests, and rivers stretching out as far as the eye could see. The hot air balloon ride was a serene yet awe-inspiring adventure that reminded me of the beauty of nature from a different vantage point. Track 21. The cross-country road trip. A cross-country road trip is the ultimate adventure for anyone who loves to explore new places. We traveled through vast landscapes, from rolling hills to desert plains and bustling cities. Along the way, we stopped at quirky roadside attractions, met fascinating people, and discovered hidden gems. The freedom of the open road and the excitement of the unknown made every moment unforgettable. The road trip was not just about the destinations but the journey itself, filled with spontaneous adventures and unexpected detours. Track 22. The Island Adventure. Exploring a remote island was the kind of adventure I had always dreamed about. After arriving by boat, we trekked through dense jungle, discovering unique wildlife and plants. The island was surrounded by crystal-clear waters, perfect for snorkeling. We saw colorful fish and even swam with sea turtles. The island's beaches were pristine, and the sunsets were stunning. This adventure connected me to nature in a profound way, reminding me of the importance of preserving these untouched places for future generations to enjoy. Track 23. The Jungle Survival Challenge. Surviving in the jungle was an adventure that tested every ounce of my survival skills. With only a knife and a few tools, we had to find food, build shelters, and make fires. The dense jungle was filled with sounds of unseen creatures, and every step could bring us face to face with an unknown challenge. We learned to forage for edible plants and hunt for small animals. The hardest part was dealing with the constant humidity, but the thrill of survival made it all worthwhile. This challenge was a true test of endurance and resourcefulness. Track 24. The Snowboarding Adventure. Snowboarding in the mountains was a thrilling adventure. The snow-covered slopes were perfect for carving and jumping, and the crisp mountain air was invigorating. As I sped down the mountain, I felt a rush of excitement and freedom. The view from the top was breathtaking, with snow-capped peaks stretching out into the distance. Snowboarding was both challenging and exhilarating, pushing me to improve my skills while enjoying the natural beauty of the mountains. This adventure was the perfect blend of sport and nature, offering an adrenaline rush like no other. Track 25. The Forest Camping Trip. Camping in the forest was the ultimate adventure for nature lovers. We set up camp near a bubbling stream and spent our days hiking through the woods, exploring hidden trails, and cooking meals over an open fire. At night, we sat around the campfire, telling stories and stargazing. The forest was alive with the sounds of wildlife, and the smell of fresh pine filled the air. This camping trip reminded me of the simple pleasures of life, away from technology, surrounded by nature's beauty and peace. Track 26. The Glacier Trek. Trekking across a massive glacier was an awe-inspiring adventure. With crampons securely attached to our boots, we hiked across the vast expanse of ice, surrounded by towering mountains. The cold air was sharp, but the landscape was breathtaking. We crossed crevasses, navigated ice fields, and marveled at the blue hues of the glacier. It was humbling to think about how old the glacier was and how much it had shaped the surrounding landscape. This trek through the frozen wilderness was an unforgettable experience, testing both our physical limits and our sense of wonder. Track 27. The Skydiving over the Ocean. Skydiving over the ocean was a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. As the plane soared to 10,000 feet, I could see the vast expanse of water below, stretching to the horizon. The moment we jumped, the wind rushed past my face, and I felt like I was flying. As I fell, I could see the coastline and the waves crashing against the shore. The parachute opened smoothly, and I floated down to land on the sandy beach. This thrilling adventure left me with a feeling of freedom and excitement, and the ocean views made it even more spectacular. Track 28. The Lost City Adventure. Venturing into the jungle in search of a lost city was a true adventure. For days, we navigated through dense foliage, crossing rivers and scaling cliffs. Along the way, we uncovered ancient ruins and mysterious artifacts that hinted at the city's once grand existence. It wasn't just the city we were after, but the journey itself. We faced challenges, from torrential rain to wild animals, but the excitement of discovery kept us going. Finally, when we stumbled upon the lost city, we were rewarded with the feeling of having uncovered a piece of history. Track 29. The Deep Forest Adventure. The Deep Forest Adventure was a journey into the unknown. The air was thick with the smell of moss and damp earth, and the towering trees created a canopy that blocked out most of the sunlight. As we trekked deeper into the forest, we encountered strange plants and rare wildlife. The sense of isolation was overwhelming, yet there was a sense of peace as well. The adventure tested our survival skills, but it also reminded me of the profound beauty and mystery of the natural world that we often take for granted. Track 30. The Ancient Ruins Adventure. Exploring ancient ruins was like stepping back in time. As we ventured into the heart of a forgotten civilization, we marveled at the intricate stonework and towering structures. Each piece of the ruins told a story of a once thriving culture, now lost to history. We carefully explored temples, pyramids, and forgotten passageways, imagining what life might have been like centuries ago. This adventure not only brought us closer to history, but also gave us a sense of awe and respect for the ingenuity and resilience of ancient peoples.